What is a behavior that is often mistaken for intelligence? Contrarianism. Big one from South Park here. A lot of people, especially younger people, mistake always being a contrarian for intelligence. I feel like it's kind of been going away lately, but still. A big part of being intelligent is being able to understand what validity there is to an opposing viewpoint even if you don't actually believe in it. What questions are the other side prioritizing that lead them to that conclusion? What are we missing out on by taking the path of least resistance? Contrarianism is not the same as intelligence, but an intelligent person will be capable of taking a stance that directly contrasts the most obvious one. Addressing other people's grammar, spelling mistakes, and semantics, rather than addressing the point they were obviously trying to make. Yeah, those things matter. But so does being able to understand what someone is trying to say despite their mistakes. While bad grammar doesn't bother me that much to comment on other people's posts, I've learned a lot from people that corrected bad English when I was learning it. Also, if someone corrects you, just thank them and move on. Because either they were actually trying to help, or they were trolling you, and if you act oblivious to it you'll end up making them mad. And in both cases Google what they said. And if it's true, then you learn something new. Maybe it's age. But if I write a long argument about something, and some dude chimes in to fix a typo in the third line for me, I assume that dude is dumb as fuck and clings to the one skill he knows like it is a weapon. People who correct grammar who are not responsible for doing so are tedious and uninteresting. I legit think the worst of people like this. Yes. I get it. Our engineer from Cuba's English isn't strong. But shut the fuck up about it. He's right about distributed systems and he's really good at his job if you're not a raging grammar Nazi. Hell. Even young guys who use a lot of text vocabulary. I don't care how they write. I care about understanding. If I understand, then that's fine. Finally, languages are living things. They grow and change. Either get with the times or step aside. We don't have time for proper English. It's being rewritten on the daily anyways. When people believe they have the tools to judge others' intelligence based on the very limited outlook they have on it. For instance, some people will tell you that their boss has a formal education but is a complete idiot. Chances are their boss can achieve some work they can't, and possess a different intelligence that is valuable for the company. Easily calling other idiots with little knowledge is very often a sign of low intelligence IMO. Now, I'm not saying stupid bosses do not exist, but most of the time they're not as dumb and incompetent as you believe them to be. While this is a very good point, I've always argued that regardless of their skills, experience in a particular field, this still doesn't necessarily qualify them to manage or lead people. So many bosses should really be well-paid individual contributors based on the fact that most people can't lead effectively. For further reading, https://en.wikipedia.org/wiki/Peter_principle. Many bosses in middle class are picked based on personality type and soft skills. Possibly even better if they ain't too smart as to not get bored easily and instead be more loyal. If you were to outsource with money as your advisor, what would you do? Pick the simple, industrious and disagreeable person to manage people, run things. My wife has some serious imposter syndrome, so she basically thinks she's stupid. But despite that, I think she's one of the most intelligent people I know, although I'm biased. When presented with an argument or series of points, she effortlessly sieves out relevant information, forms an opinion and presents it so clearly and convincingly. She's changed my opinions on many topics, even when I thought I fully disagreed with her. Being a tactless dick. You see it a lot among my logic and reason don't care about your feelings types. No. You're not above such primitive trifling matters, you're just lacking in empathy and emotional intelligence. Demonstrating a lot of institutional knowledge. I've come across so many people that others describe as being so smart because they've been doing the same thing for 25 years and know everything there is to know about that specific thing. Yet if they are forced outside their box even a little bit and have to engage in actual logical reasoning, they are lost. Being cynical. People assume gullible equals stupid and cynical equals smart. And some of those people then act cynical of everything because they think it makes them smarter. Being a positive person doesn't mean you aren't intelligent. Assholishness. Smart people are almost always depicted in pop culture as being assholes and pricks. But actual research shows that intelligence very often goes hand in hand with emotional awareness and empathy. The smartest person in the room generally isn't going to be a drive house. They're going to be far closer to a hippie live and let love style attitude. I'm regarded as being pretty intelligent for knowing a lot of stuff. However, I beg to differ. A library may have more knowledge in it than a rock, but both are equally intelligent. Just because I know that bananas are slightly radioactive due to the isotopes of potassium present in it doesn't mean anything. Cynicism. For years, I made this mistake. Admiring what I believe to be Holmesian powers of deduction. The dude with the dream has his head the clouds, while the cynic appears smart by dismissing the unfamiliar. Then I realized that when an intelligent person doesn't understand an idea right away, they don't blame the idea, they ask more questions with the goal of understanding. Acquiring an officer's commission or SNCO rank in the U.S. military and in most other militaries, I'd imagine. Experience, wisdom, hard work, perseverance, desperation, connections, staying out of trouble, studying laws and regulations and zealously enforcing them, knowing which asses to kiss and which ones to fuck, drinking as much of the Kool-Aid as you can swallow, being a dick to your subordinates to demonstrate assertiveness, not rocking the boat. Don't fall too far below mediocrity, but don't fly so high above it that the sun melts your wings, so to speak. Participating in bake sales and command Christmas parties. I'm not fucking kidding. Join the Navy and see for yourself. All these things lead to promotions to respectable ranks in the U.S. military. Intelligence does not. Behavior. Any behavior. No action narrows down intelligence. It's the speed of your neurotransmitted connection and ability to adapt. Even reflexes. Even if you are intelligent, things can still challenge you. There is no specific behavior that defines intelligence. Rather, the way you work with issues and how the outcome proceeds to benefit or backfire. Talking a lot. Very quickly. People only catch the smart parts and ignore the piles of crap in between. Something I've always noted is that everyone has the same reservoir of intelligence they can use. It's just the more you talk, the more spread out that intelligence is. Bullshitting about something they don't understand. Going off on tangents about something related perhaps, rather than simply admitting they aren't familiar with the topic and asking someone to explain. General knowledge. I have a lot of it because I like reading about stuff. I am good with languages and am a curious person. But I'm shit at maths and struggle very much with studying, which always surprises people. IDK if it's a good example, but I would really not consider myself an above-average intelligence. Asterisk pretentiousness. Asterisk. I knew some tosspot at college that walked around with a Camus book. Front cover facing out so everyone could read it. It was only about 150 pages long, but he brought it in every day for about a month. Don't think he even cracked the spine. He also turned his nose up at the simple pleasure of watching an easy-going comedy film or something. It had to be black and white foreign films for him. I rolled my eyes so many times that I'm surprised they didn't get stuck. Citing scientific articles online. Specifically Google's article that proves point when there are other articles that disprove the same point. I'm definitely a fan of science, but you have to be critical of how a study was done. And a corollary, citing the press release rather than the actual study. Very often press releases make extravagant claims for utterly mundane and rather unimportant research. but they can be mined by people with an agenda to imply that the field is in disarray or its central concepts are being undermined by revolutionary new research. It may not be often mistaken for intelligence, but it's always seemed that complaining about something with condescension and snark is often thought of to be a form of sophistication or wit by those that express the behavior. Having the answers in class. I was always thought to be the smartest kid in my classes because I would actually read the material, do the work. My whole class thought I was a genius at Spanish. And while yes, I appreciate the language, I also had an English to Spanish dictionary on my desk at all times. Speaking more than one language fluently. Most of the time, the bilingual person learned it as a baby from their parents or their parents paid for them to go to a private bilingual school. Learning languages as a young child is natural. Not really a sign of intelligence. Any baby can learn any language if given the proper input. There are obviously lots of exceptions to this rule. But I have seen way too many situations where the kid of immigrants was treated like a genius polyglot for speaking their own native language. This was in the USA near a French-English K-8th grade school.